Hello everyone and welcome back. I am as always Inquisitor Aura, and this is how to roleplay in World of Warcraft, advanced role-playing techniques, and this week we are going to be taking a look at the dragons. Please note that these are just the generally accepted guidelines to socially acceptable and lore-friendly roleplay in World of Warcraft. There is a niche for every type and style of roleplay out there, and what I am telling you here are the generally accepted guidelines that will not get you ridiculed, laughed at, picked on, ignored, or shunned. Few powerful creatures have had as much interaction with the mortal races of Azeroth as the Dragonflights. Empowered by Titanic Guardians of Azeroth, the 5 Dragonflights were charged with the protection of the world. However, role-playing one of these creatures is hard. Role-playing is all about indulging your fantasy and doing what you want. But dragons and drakes are extraordinarily powerful and intelligent beings, and many people can view them as a form of god modding, that being playing an overpowered character. But it can be done, and anything that can be done well. So if you want to roleplay a dragon, here are some suggestions and tips on how to do it. In this video, I will be covering standard dragon behavior, and I will go into the specifics of the different dragon flights in future videos. And the first things we need to hammer down when talking about dragons and dragon role-playing is that given the events of the Cataclysm and the loss of most of their power, any dragon walking amongst the mortal races would not reveal themselves as dragons. Dragons have, since their inception, been keenly interested in the activities of the mortal races. As such, any dragons who choose to get close to these races often take the shape of the race they are studying, as well as learning the cultural rules of those same people. Think of dragons in this case as researchers who have the ability to blend in perfectly with their subjects. Researchers want to observe things, creatures, and people in their natural environment. Being watched generally sets people on edge, so dragons will do what they can to prevent that. They don't want people to realize what they're doing, and over the centuries, they have perfected their ability to blend in and observe. As such, they take great pains to remain undiscovered. Dragons do not announce to the world that they are dragons. Dragons in mortal society generally do not want to be discovered. Keeping this in mind, you'll need to carefully consider your dragon's appearance. This means you don't have horns, you don't have a tail, you don't have scales, you don't have wings. You do not look like a dragon. You look like whatever race you were trying to mimic. You can wear your flight's colors, but aside from that, you should not have any draconic features. Also, you should avoid using the draconic language. Mortals do not understand it, and it's a dead giveaway. Another thing that's very important to understand is that dragons are cunning and intelligent. If you want a good model for dragons amongst mortals, you should look to Wrathion. With the exception that everybody knows that he's a dragon because he doesn't hide it, and that he has a fairly grand plan for Azeroth, Wrathion's appearance and behavior are perfect models for how most other dragons would act. Keeping in mind, of course, that Wrathion is still very, very young. Even so, he has a commanding intelligence. His level of intelligence is indicative of what most dragons are capable of. Older dragons being even more intelligent than even Wrathion. Most dragons will also not go all wings and claws at the first provocation. Not even Davil and Katrana Prester, better known as Deathwing and Onyxia, shed their human disguises until it was absolutely necessary. Not even Wrathion turns into a dragon unless he has to. Even Ebonhorn hides his true form. And this isn't about shame, guys. It's about survival. It's about not being seen as a potential threat. It's about being seen but unseen and serving your purpose. Despite the significant power loss since the destruction of the demon soul, as a dragon, you are still sworn to protect Azeroth. Dragons have a long history of disguising themselves and serving as scouts and researchers amongst the mortal races in order to keep a claw on the pulse of Azeroth, to dig out the problems and put an end to them with as little force as possible. And while certain dragonflights seem to prefer certain forms, they are not limited to these forms. Riestraza chose to be a goblin, over the Red's usual choice of a high elf or a blood elf. Ebonhorn chose to be Tauren instead of human, admittedly, though the reasons for this are pretty clear. Kaelid Ghost chose to be human instead of taking the elven form generally assumed by the blue dragonflight. Chromie chose to be a gnome, while most of her brethren in the bronze dragonflight favor elves. While the dragonflights do seem to favor certain forms, don't let it limit you, as dragons can turn into any sentient race. Remember, while you are a dragon and by definition very powerful, you are also trying not to be detected. This, along with the events of the Cataclysm, means your power is severely limited. I know I keep mentioning it, but the destruction of the demon soul took a large part of the power you once possessed. Most dragons are now as powerful as a mortal hero. Keeping your identity a secret may require you to be even more frugal with your power. Don't limit yourself to the point that you can't defend yourself, but remember that you are in no way as powerful as you once were, and you are likely never going to be that powerful ever again. It's okay to be powerful, but keep it within the realm of reason. And finally, although you are a dragon, your interaction with the previous aspects was likely limited. Remember, at one point, there were literally thousands of you. Not all of you were ever given the opportunity to bask in their presence. Not all of you could have been consorts or children of the aspects. Not all dragons were born of the aspects, and even if you were, it is likely that there is a significant generational gap between you and them. This is very much like the concept of the PC-NPC relationship for those who roleplay the mortal races. Not everyone can be Sylvanas' best friend forever, so it's better that everyone stay away from such claims. Dragons have a place in Azeroth, and they have a place in roleplay. They are, however, very hard to pull off and can be unsatisfying. After all, hiding what you really are is often very difficult and generally unfun. But it can be done and done well, and should prove to be a challenge to any veteran roleplayers who want to follow in the wing beats of the great dragonflights. Well, that is going to be it from me for this week. Thank you guys so much for watching. Remember, if you like what you see and you want to see more, make sure you hit that like button. Don't forget to comment below, and don't forget to subscribe. I also have a Patreon. The link is in the description box below, as well as up in my channel header art. So if you want to help me improve my video quality, make sure you stop on by and donate. Remember, your donations go directly to things to improve the quality of my videos and may lead to more videos per week. Anyways, guys, thank you again so much for watching. Have a great week, have a great weekend, and I will see you again in Azeroth.